Welcome back to the round one popular opinions. I was watching a depressing video before this, so I just had to actually hype myself back up because wow, that intro would have been depressing as well. Regardless, regardless, I am having the loveliest winter that I've had in at least 7 to 8 years. Okay, at least 7 to 8 years because we haven't had this much snow actually stick. Like I live in a capital city, which smog. So not a lot of stuff actually gets through. So to have this much snow and to have it stick and to have it pile up in this quantity is just a beautiful thing. Okay, it's lovely. And I'm so happy. And the first day that it happened, I think I walked around the neighborhood twice that day while it was falling. And I was just so giddy and I was so happy. I'm less happy because of university, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the fact that the snow is finally here. It is minus 15. Okay, it hasn't been that cold in a while too, and I think it won't go above zero for at least another week, if not longer. So I am thrilled. I am thrilled. If you're someone who also hates the heat, I feel such immense relief from not feeling hot, not just sweating, dripping, like that. I not feeling hot feels like such a treat to me that I had a field day the first time I was cold. Regardless, welcome to 2026 officially, even though I published the last video in 2026 as well, even though I was not supposed to. I am yapping. This is a video about the second half of 2025, the best stuff I watched. I did this video in June. I will do it a little bit differently than that time. I only talked about positive things that I wanted to mention, best things that I've watched in this half of the year. This time we will do something different because there are a few things that I want to talk about that aren't positive. So this is just going to be stuff I want to talk about that I watched in the second half of 2025. So let's get into it. I have words. Okay, I have words. And since I do these videos 2 times a year, I look forward to them so much. Let's talk about the positives. We will get to the negatives later. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is obviously Dexter Resurrection, because if you don't know, Dexter is one of my favorite series of all time, ever. Top 5, if not top 3, but I would say top 5 because of it doesn't matter. Dexter is one of my favorite series of all time. So obviously I watched this because New Blood was abominable. Okay, that soured me on Dexter so badly that I had to rewatch the entire thing. After that, we do not talk about New Blood. Okay, that was just horrendous. And the one with young Dexter, my mother watched and she really liked, but for me, Michael C. Hall as Dexter and Dexter as a character are kind of linked. So I can't really see anyone else as him. I almost forget Michael C. Hall as an actor and not just Dexter Morgan as a person. So this was a continuation to New Blood, so I was already a little bit iffy on it because in case you don't know, which is really controversial, again, I'm warning you in advance, I don't like Clyde Phillips. I don't like Clyde Phillips. I am one of the probably 0.3%, including my household, of people who prefer the second half of Dexter to the first half, and the first 4 seasons were the showrunner was Clyde Phillips, and Clyde Phillips was now in charge for New Blood, I think the Young Dexter, and Resurrections. I won't even get into why. I do not want to talk about Dexter the entire time. Point being, I liked Dexter Resurrection, but not as much as I think everyone online seems to be. Because everyone online obviously really likes Clyde Phillips and the first half of Dexter so much that they thought that this was a return to form for them. Whereas for me, it was a unnecessary sequel, yes, which it definitely is, a cash grabby unnecessary sequel, it doesn't need to exist. And it was enjoyable in the way that the first 4 seasons of Dexter are, but also I found it incredibly just insignificant, shallow, and I don't know how to explain it because, like, not dull. Like, I enjoyed watching it every week. It was fun, okay? It was satisfying even in many ways. There were all the different like killers, and the killer club concept was so fun, and all the actors are famous, obviously, like Jessica Jones, Neil Patrick Harris, Cam from Modern Family. Like, it was fun. Peter Dinklage, and also like Uma Thurman, is that her name? Like, it was fun to watch, but also like I forgot about it as soon as I finished it. Like, it's just not something that's going to stay with me, and I will keep watching it, but it's still not going to stay with me. Like, I forgot that I watched it this year until I went through my notebook where I log everything I watch. And then I was like, okay, yeah, that was fun, and I remember liking it every week and how much we enjoyed watching it. But now, like, I have not thought about that like one time since it finished, okay? And mind you, after this, I rewatched the last, not even four, the last 3 seasons of Dexter, like 6, 7, and 8, which are all, I think, they all have one showrunner, and season 5 has like an individual showrunner. And like, I love those seasons so much that I watched it after. I still like think about that I rewatched, and I have not thought about Resurrection like once. And I will just give you like a little bit of context if you think that I'm like batshit insane, which you're entitled to. That's none of my business. If you consider that I like the second half of the original Dexter more than the first, I think you can understand my opinions on everything new that Clyde Phillips does. Because his writing lacks just any kind of depth, in my opinion. Everything feels like catering to the audience. Like Resurrection, it felt like it worked because, unlike New Blood, he did exactly what the audience wanted. Like, in the ending, like, spoiler or not, the last like line of season 1 is like, I am exactly what you want me to be, or something like that. And he looks into the camera, and I could see the director, like, it was no longer the series, it was no longer Dexter himself, it was the director, or showrunner. It was Clyde Phillips telling me that, like, I can tell you didn't like New Blood, and I can tell that people didn't like when there was no Michael C. Hall, but there was another actor. So, like, I gave you this, made it exactly like the first 4 seasons. I got famous famous actors to be the killers. I gave you like exactly everything that you complained about in the last 2. And I made Dexter exactly how you want him to be. Like, this felt like seasons 1 through 4 Dexter. It really did. Like, it was that same vibe, that same dynamic, the same pacing, like the same way of writing, of revealing, of characterization. It was so Clyde Phillips that I saw Clyde Phillips and not the show itself, not Dexter. It felt like him speaking to the audience, being like, this is what you want. This is what I will give you because I do actually want your viewership and your money. I don't know how else to put it. I realize I'm talking like less about this series and more about like the workings of it. But that's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. So yes, while I enjoyed it, I will not think about it again, like once, okay? I've watched Dexter, like the original show, at this point, like maybe 4 times, with the caveat that I think I watched it all the way through maybe twice. Maybe twice, okay? And I think that would be pushing it because I always rewatch the second half. I think I've watched seasons 5 through 8 like at least twice the amount of times, if not even more than that, than the first half, okay? Like, I have not rewatched seasons 2 or 3 of the original Dexter like in so long. In so long. But seasons 5 through 8 I've like rewatched so many times. Point being, I am not the target audience for this, even though it is one of my favorite series of all time, because I just do not like Clyde Phillips as like a showrunner, as a participant in this universe. I don't like I suppose, how he writes. I don't like his lack of depth, the depth that I consider deep, which is obviously a personal thing. And I just don't really like how he speaks to the audience rather than letting the story speak for itself. I don't want to speak to the showrunner when I'm watching a series. This was just such a long way of saying that, yes, this was a great watch this year. I looked forward to it every week. I will never watch it again. I will never watch it again, okay? And immediately afterwards, again, I went back to watch seasons 6 through 8 of the original Dexter, and like it hits harder every single time that I watch it. So coming in with the controversial opinions, because I know this is one of the highest rated series that came out this year and everyone was like so hyped for it. So good for you, I guess. Like you got your thing back because you haven't had it since season 4. So I'm happy for you. I'm just not there with you. I just realized that I might as well call this first section like the controversial because I'm starting with the controversy. So I'm going to organize it that way. Okay, the next controversial thing is Les Mis, the film from the 90s with like Liam Neeson and Jeffrey Rush. I loved this. Like I watched it with my dad who hadn't read the book, but he wanted to watch it with me. I couldn't watch the musical. I couldn't watch the musical back then, as I said, like in my book review, because I couldn't watch the musical when it came out. I was like quite young and I tried to watch it. And because of how annoying I found it, I thought I wouldn't be able to read the book. I tried to watch it again after the book. I can't. I just can't. It's too much of a musical for me to be able to stand it, okay? Like genuinely singing every 2 seconds. I cannot take that. I cannot take it seriously in the slightest. It's just not my thing. This, though, which was like a normal film, oh my god, I loved it. But the reason it's controversial is that it it certainly takes liberties. It certainly takes liberties, okay, from the source material. It does its own thing. And the reason I say it's controversial is because everything they changed is exactly what I hated about the book. It's like it was a perfect adaptation for me, but it was just not a good adaptation, okay? Because they put the focus exactly on the characters that I wanted the book to put more focus on, and they ignored the characters that I wanted the book to ignore a whole lot more. And they made Marius so so unlikable and like unpleasant to even look at, and just his entire like presence in the film was just like pushed to the side, and he's just really unlikable and almost irrelevant in this film because the focus is not on him. And oh my god, I was happy. I was so thrilled. I literally said to my dad, I was like, they removed all the stuff I hated about the book. So like whoever made this adaptation is like a personal close friend of mine, okay? So like it spoke to me, certainly, and it even ended in a better way than the book. Like not better. Again, I actually quite liked sort of how the book ended, even though I didn't like the entire second half, so that's a little bit questionable. But like this film was perfect for me. Okay, if the book was like this film, that book would have been 5 stars for me. Okay, it focuses exactly on the things that I wanted to focus on. It finishes in the way that I found satisfying. The dynamics were exactly what I wanted them to be. And if it was like 5 hours long, obviously I would have preferred it, but this was just the adaptation for me. Okay, for me personally. For me personally, I didn't have to spend like what, the 2.5 hour film watching Marius's ugly ass face. There's nothing on the actor, by the way. I don't even know who the actor is, and I don't even remember his face, but I mean that like symbolically watching his ugly face, because like I just read the book at the time. I just heard the name and I was like, please get him off my screen. So like this is controversial because it's not a good adaptation, but it was the perfect one for me. Let's talk about like the less controversial things before I get into them. So the first one is Forever, which is like an American series that is about a guy who is immortal. That's it. There's absolutely nothing else supernatural about the series. It's actually like a crime mystery series, like with murders and a detective and the police and pathology, but the guy's immortal. It's like that one thing being supernatural is just hilarious. And I put this into controversial section because it seems to be really well liked. I don't really know how I feel about it. It felt a little bit like all over the place. Like there are episodes where I'm like, okay, like this is great. this is excellent. This is actually really interesting and really engaging and like doing the thing with the concept that it should do. And then there are other episodes where I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They're constantly saying like empty, hollow platitudes. Like sometimes they sound profound and sometimes they sound like you pulled it out of your ass. I don't know how to say it. It was just so inconsistent. Okay. I think we even stopped watching it. When I say we, it's always like me and one of my parents, if not both, because like we watched most of the stuff together, stuff that I watched alone. I'm not going to say we. I'm not Gollum. Anyway, we stopped watching this for like a few months and then went back to it because we had nothing else to watch at the time. And like, especially it suffered from the thing that a lot of shows suffered from at that time, like Supernatural included, and all those other like American TV series with like 20 plus episodes per season, where you have the main bad and that main storyline is really interesting, but it happens so rarely in the season that like all the filler episodes, you're kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? Why is the effort just not being put into the entire thing? You know, like why do these episodes feel like you gave it to the worst writer on the team and then you just bring back the good writers for the main plot with the main bad guy, who, by the way, that actor, I love him too. He's excellent. But the bits with like the bad guy and the main guy clashing and all that stuff, oh, I loved that. That was my favorite bit of the series. And I think that concept could have gone far if they actually like developed it more rather than putting their time and effort into the frankly unpleasant romance. Like it was completely unnecessary. Like it took away from the series every time it was hinted, because I was like, we do not need this. We do not need this. We have other things to do. Actually, since this is a mystery and sort of like a supernatural drama, like we do not need hints of this romance. They can just be partners, okay? They really can. And another thing, because again, we and I in general don't really watch American stuff anymore. I don't like it. Like I've watched it all my life. Somewhere around COVID, I just moved on to like, you know, like the UK, European stuff and anime, and I just cannot stand a Hollywood American production and what they focus on anymore. Like it is jarring to me. I can't watch it anymore. So watching this was quite a bit of whiplash for what I usually watch. Okay. How graphic it is. Like I always expect anything American I watch to have nudity and to have graphic violence or gore or whatever. Like that's just something I expect if I do end up picking up something American. Okay. And the disgust factor of this, like I had watched Hannibal earlier in the year, or rather not earlier in the year, but the year before in 2024, that had the exact same things that I again expect from American entertainment. But I feel like the disgust factor was worse here because it wasn't tied in with like the psychological factor. It was tied in with the actual like pathology aspect. And like my best friend is in medical school, and I told her like this is the type of thing you should be watching, okay? Not me. Like, you know, all the like the way the pathology in crime stuff does things is, you know, to peel away layers of the skin to reveal the insides of whatever, like the body, the head. It was just, it was too clinically detailed and graphic that I was disgusted. I could not eat while watching this, and like it kept happening. I was like, maybe they do it once or twice to prove a point. It kept happening. That genuinely, I mentioned it to her like twice over the course of a few months that we watched it, that I was like, you should be watching that. Okay, I know you don't care about the other stuff, but the way this was made, you should be watching it. Okay, I don't want to be watching it. Like nothing about this, okay, makes me want to watch it again. I do not want to see skin peeled back in any scenario. So like it was not unpleasant. And again, mind you, I'd watched Hannibal and it didn't bother me as much. So it was sort of like proving my point for why I don't like American entertainment anymore. Like in the UK, with like very few exceptions, they're never going to actually show any of the graphic stuff, okay? Like when it does happen, I'm genuinely surprised because they almost never do that, and they have some severely bleak and dark series and they never show it in the way that Americans constantly do in series that are actually like leaning more on the comedy side like this one is. So it's just a difference of cultural entertainment. And I had to like highlight that in case you're someone who is squeamish. It's something to note because my god, I was not exactly nauseous, but I think if I had been eating, I definitely would have been. This one will be very brief, but Stepford Wives with Nicole Kidman and I think it's Glenn Close, right? Again American. Again American, and this goes into the category of Idiocracy and Black Mirror, the episode, the only episode that I watched apart from the Miley one, and Bandersnatch was the pink people one, the one where you live with likes with Bryce Dallas Howard. Like that was like the one that I watched and that I never wanted to touch the show again. Okay. Stepford Wives goes into that category. That it's so uncomfortable and dystopian, but also again realistic. Like the horror of it is so realistic and well done and like exaggerated perfectly that it is incredibly sickening to watch, but in a different way to like graphic gore, okay? Because this was horrid. By the end of this, I was like, I want to scrub my brain like with a brush to get this out of my head. The same thing as Idiocracy and again that Black Mirror episode. I never want to see them again. Like I never ever want to see them again. Are they well done technically, like at showing this horrifying reality or concept? Yes. Yes, they are. And that is exactly why I will never watch them again. I'm not even entirely happy that I did watch them the first time, so we're just going to be moving on from this. But point being, this is the same category as those other two, okay? They just make me uncomfortable on such like a fundamental level that I do kind of hate myself for watching them because this is not something I want to even imagine, let alone actually see it being done. So, not my, I can't, not my thing. I'll get this quickly out of the way because I have actually nothing but good things to say about it, which is the controversial part. Witcher season 4. Witcher season 4, okay. And I talked about this at length in the Reddit and Tumblr communities of The Witcher, okay? Everyone who's actually read and loves the books loved season 4, not in its entirety, mind you. I just mean Geralt's thread. I didn't even watch anything else. Didn't even watch anything else, but like the entirety of Geralt's plot, shockingly, for the first time in the history of this series, was done book accurate. Okay, everything and how it happens exactly like in the book Baptism of Fire. They just adapted completely Baptism of Fire, okay? Exactly when it happens, how it happens. They pulled lines from the book. The characters act like from the books mostly, okay? But to be fair, the bar is in hell, which is why it feels like it was so good. But I sat down to watch it on the 30th of October, I think it was, fully prepared to be like, Jesus Christ, like not this again. But I'd seen the trailer and it looked book accurate, and Baptism of Fire is like my favorite Witcher book. So I was like, I'm going to check it out. And I cried. I cried because of how happy it made me. Okay. I had just reread the books in September. So like I pretty much knew Baptism of Fire like front to end, essentially. When I was watching the series and like lines pulled from the book, dynamics pulled from the book, okay, little mini micro things pulled from the book. There was like a little bit of a plot point from Season of Storms and everything. Like and that's what I said. like to my dad, who again is also like a fan of the books, and I made him watch it with me again, and it was still just as good the second time. Feeling like it was a good thing that you read the books before watching is never a feeling that you have when watching the Witcher series. Okay, never. You feel like you're being punished if you remember the books when you watch that series. But this time, it felt like I was rewarded for having read the book. I knew exactly what each reference was from. I knew which line was from the book. I knew what the characters are supposed to be acting like with each other. And it felt like such a treat to watch and experience. And again, pretty much everyone I've seen on Tumblr and on Reddit and who interacted with my post saying that like this was my favorite thing yet because they actually adapted Baptism of Fire. Everyone who loves the books agreed with me. Okay, agreed with me that Liam was the better Geralt and that the thing was beautifully done. Everyone who actually read and loves the books that interacted with me and that I saw agreed with me. The people who hated season 4 are the people who either only watch the series or play the games or really, really had the hots for for Henry Cavill. Everyone else agreed with me, and I found that actually like so liberating. I was like, finally, I get to talk about people that I actually have something in common with. You know, I have never played the games, and I don't really like Henry Cavill that much, so like I have nothing in common with that crowd, and I could actually have like a proper conversation with the people who know where I'm coming from when I say that like my favorite book in the series was probably done the most justice that it could have been done by Hollywood on Netflix. And I was so happy. I cried like multiple times. Multiple things actually moved me because I thought they would be worse. Like there was this one section where I thought that a character would do something, and I was like, if they do that, that's like such a horrendous thing against the book, and they didn't, and that made me cry. Like the entire thing made me cry. How much the group feels like a group and how much they grow on you. My dad did not like any of the characters in the series. He did not like any of the actors. Okay, so when I forced him to watch it with me, by the end of the season, he was like, they've all actually grown on him, and he found the group sweet and the dynamic sweet, and all the characters actually like grew on him, even though he didn't like them at first. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Okay. Are bits of their backstory like made up? Yes, but that is like the least of my problems. That is the least of my problems, genuinely. So while do I mean that it's like an exact perfect adaptation, not by a long shot, but I think it's as close as you can get with these conditions and these writers and Netflix. This is like as close to book accurate as you can get. And I was so happy. Like I was so happy. Like the Hansa felt like the Hansa, and I was so happy. So thrilled, and I that is not a sentence I would have ever said in regards to the Witcher series on Netflix. Like ever. Ever. But this actually goes to show the stuff that people are like blaming you for, usually that you like just want to be negative and you want to hate things. I didn't go into this wanting to hate it, even though I hated the first 3 seasons. Okay, I didn't go into this wanting to hate it. I wanted to love it, and I was so happy that I did. I was so happy that I did. I was thrilled. I'm going to watch it again, probably. I will watch it again, okay? Like I hated the first 3 seasons, and I'm not absolutely like I don't have like I'm ashamed to admit that I like it. I loved it. Okay, I loved it, and it seems like all the other people who read and loved the books also loved it, and we all collectively agree that either Liam is the better Geralt or the way that they directed him and wrote him was just the better Geralt. So I had a fantastic time. And I don't really care if the show onlys are pissed about Henry's departure because it seems it was for the better. Had to take a proper swig for this one. Okay, let's set the scene. Let's set the scene. I will even like put the clicker aside because I know that this clip is going to be long as hell. Okay. I watched again pretty much when I was a teenager and younger than being a teenager in that age range. I watched pretty much almost every popular American TV series that was coming out. You know, like Vampire Diaries, Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl, True Blood, Supernatural. I was watching everything. Okay. Sitcoms as well, like romance stories as well. One thing that I've never ever in my life heard anyone talk about that my friend and my mother got me hooked on, that always like stuck in the back of my brain, is Awkward. I've never in my life heard anyone talk about this, even though it had like 5 seasons. Where do I even start? Okay. I don't even know how to preface this except by saying that I remembered like alarmingly little about this series apart from 3 things. Like the main plot of season 1, the fact that I hated the main character, and the fact that like Maddie McKibben was the love of my life. Those are the 3 things that I remembered, and I hadn't watched this in ages. Okay, like since probably like 2015, 2016, because mind you, again, I was watching this as it was coming out, and I know I never watched the last season. I stopped before the last season. I distinctly remember that. Like I was watching season 4, and I was already like sick and tired of it. I never actually watched season 5. And for some reason this year I was kind of like, let's go back. Let's go back and rewatch that thing so I can actually finish it and give it like a second watch. I'd never watched it like the second time, okay? And like me and my best friend at the time, like we were obsessed. We were obsessed with Maddie McKibben, okay? We were, when it was coming out, all we were talking about is him. And I find him really attractive for some reason, which like, he's just a normal American tall boy with blue eyes, curly hair, and who plays sports and looks really nice and just has the most beautiful smile. Okay, he just looks so quintessentially like popular American high school kid who plays sports, but he has a special place in my heart. Okay. And always has. He's the one thing that I vividly remember from this series that, like, well, even while I forgot about the series existing, Maddie McKibben and what he looked like and the fact that I loved him was stuck in my head ever since, okay? Nothing changed. Like, nothing changed about this. Absolutely nothing changed, okay? I think I love him more than I did when I was a teenager because now I'm an adult and I can actually, like, see them as people, not just as, you know, like, childhood crushes. I loved him more if that was possible, okay? Like, how can a character that I love so much stand out in a series that I hate this viscerally? I don't know, okay? This series was a little bit strange at the time because it was doing a thing that I feel like no one else was doing, is that it was very actually like explicit with all the sexual content that was happening, like both talking about it and like dealing with it and doing it. Like I forgot that it was essentially like sex ed, the series. And I did not remember it being like that at the time, but again, I was pretty young. So all that's to say, all that's to say, okay, it was unbearable. It was an unbearable watch. Like it's such an infuriating series because it's a series that doesn't take itself seriously, and then when it does take itself seriously, you kind of hate it for that because it's not doing it well. So it definitely goes downhill. Okay, like as soon as they leave, or not leave high school, but like as soon as the first 2 seasons, I think, like are over, maybe season 3, let's say, and be generous, seasons 4 and 5 are like abysmal. No wonder I never watched season 5. Season 4 was already like rough for me. Okay, but there was some kind of crack, okay, in the first 2 seasons especially, where it is just so addicting to watch. It's a train wreck, but it is so addicting to watch these people like with horrendous lives. It's, by the way, I hated all of the characters, I think, except Maddie McKibben and Lane. No, is that her name? I might be confusing her like with the other poorly treated Asian character from Gilmore Girls. No, Lane was in Gilmore Girls. I have no idea what the character was called here. See? Because she just vanishes like in the second half, and good for her, honestly. Her, that character, like the other best friend for Jenna, our main protagonist. Her and Maddie McKibben and this one girl that they like kicked to the curb. The only characters I liked in this series. Okay, everyone else, I was like, you're just horrendous people. Like, you are horrendous people, but like taken to extremes, you know, like to an absurd extreme. Okay, like you people deserve to be stoned for how dramatically written you are. Like, you're awful, awful, horrendous people. But none of that compares to my absolute disdain for Jenna Hamilton. Okay, none of that compares. Like, it doesn't even come close. I hated her the first time, but again, since it wasn't a rewatch, I didn't hate her properly until season 3 when I was like, kill her. Like, I would cheer if like she was run over by a bus or something. I hated her from the beginning this time around because I think it tries to do the thing where she's obviously not ugly, by the way. Like, the actress is not ugly at all, and she's also like, I think, like a Mensa genius. Which, good props to her, because she manages to act like an insufferable dumbass so well that, like, props to her. As soon as I saw her face in season 1, I was like, oh my god, I want her to die. And I didn't even properly remember why yet. Okay, I hated her guts. They tried to go for a nerdy character who is supposedly undesirable and ugly, which, again, like, it's hilarious because the actress isn't ugly, but also make her like really, really sexually liberated and like actually quite sexually open in that way, and nerdy, but also wanting to be popular and bullied, but also deserving of it. Like, I'm getting off track here. I don't know how to stop talking about this because I feel like I can make like a 3-hour video just about this alone, so I will try and condense my thoughts. Okay, I'll try. You can skip this if you don't care about the series, but I've never talked about anyone with the series since again, it's airing. Let's just put all the side characters out of the way. Let's just talk about Jenna Hamilton and Maddie McKibben, okay, together and apart. He has like a questionable thing he does in the beginning of the series, but then everything is like uphill from there. Okay, he has personal development, character development, in world development. Like, he just gets better from that like very beginning. She gets so much worse. Okay, she gets so much worse that I actually got upset she was not bullied more severely. Okay, as someone who was bullied, I remember that the series was like given to me because it was like, oh, the main character was like bullied, and that's like the whole point of season 1, at least. That's why I watched it in the first place. And then for me to turn around and be like, why was she not bullied more severely? Like, no one deserves it more than her. I hate her so much that I'm not even open to hearing someone else's opinion. I feel like if you don't at least dislike her, something is the matter with you. Because she was written that way. Okay, she was written to be just the worst friend, girlfriend, daughter, person, student. Like, she was just written to be awful, which I suppose that's new. I suppose at the time that was like a new thing, that like your main character is the worst person in the series, but it's not fun to watch when they're the main character. I just wanted her to leave the series, even though she's the main character. Everyone else has like some modicum of development, except that girl, okay? Now let's actually get to her and Maddie together, okay? The series does that annoying thing where they go through so much that when they actually get to the point of like being in a normal, happy place and being together, it writes obstacles for them that are like borderline unrealistic, okay? Like, when they actually get to the breakup and the cheating, I don't care if I'm spoiling this for you. Don't watch it. Just don't watch it, okay? This was my personal like nostalgia kick from being a teenager. It was just it put down Maddie how it was written, and it lifted Jenna in a way that was like insulting to the intelligence of anyone watching, okay? Because to make him, I feel like the whole thing they were going for was like the unpopular, nerdy, not conventionally attractive, supposedly girl is like the one who has all the sexual power and the one who's like walking him on a leash and the one who controls the thing, whereas the popular guy who has countless options is actually a beautiful human being and person is going to be put down and constantly trod upon by this woman and her whims, and he will never fall out of love with her. He will always be available if she wants it. He will always do the most and treat her the best, even though she will treat him like absolute garbage. And I was like, I don't like the role reversal. Like, I don't like this with the roles not reversed, by the way. I really don't, where the guy is like the worst person imaginable and the woman cannot fall out of love with him and constantly is stuck to him. I don't like it when it's normal or reversed. I don't like it, okay? Like, I would just paint a picture for you. I was watching this at night and I was fuming. I was commenting out loud because of how much I was hating it, okay? Past seasons like 1 and 2, when we get to them in a relationship and the eventual breakup and cheating and everything that comes afterwards, I kept rooting for someone to like kick Jenna, to like run her over, to bully her, to insult her. Like Sadie, she was such a loser character in the beginning. Genuinely like such a loser character. A normal, really, really cliche, exaggerated bully character. Okay. I was rooting for Sadie to bully her more. It's like she deserved it. She deserved it. I wanted all her friends to stop talking to her. I wanted her parents to kick her out of their house. Okay. I wanted her to be in the slums with Colin and his friends. I wanted her to get on drugs. I wanted her to die. And that again is like not obviously like a desire that I wanted to see this girl run over, but that was the strength of my sentiment. Okay. That was the strength of my sentiment. Like, I despised her. I despised her. And every time that she'd see Maddie happy, she would pull him back into the trenches of her evil. And I was like, please move on. Please be with anyone but her. And the writers did this diabolical thing where they actually gave him no other options. Like, all his other girlfriends didn't stand a chance because they were worse than Jenna. They were like actually insane or toxic or like genuinely mad people. The one option that they gave him was like a girl who was a lot younger, and I was like, she's actually sweet, and they would actually work together, and they gave it a shot for like 1 episode where Jenna finally comes to terms with it and actually lets them like go out together. And I was like, this is great. This is great. You deserve nothing but the best, Maddie. And then she's gone. And she's just gone in the next season, and we keep going again with the bad girlfriends that are just going to keep reminding Maddie that there's no one better than Jenna. And I have been talking for 13 minutes. Let me stop this clip so like I can keep yapping because my God. As you can see, I'm heated. I'm heated. It's going to be a long video just because of my yapping about awkward. Deep breaths, okay? Watching in such an exaggerated, over-sexualized American TV series, watching the male character actually be such a beautiful person with such excellent development, it was such a painful thing to watch. Okay, I remember why I loved him. I really did. Okay, he goes from being a popular, sort of afraid to go out of the mold and out of tradition guy to being like the sweetest, the most considerate, okay, like the most sensitive and emotional boyfriend you could possibly have in this universe or any universe. Like, I would date him in real life. They have also nothing in common, mind you. Again, is not something that I really like, but he makes an effort to do stuff for her that he'd never actually do. He changes his habits, how he speaks to people, how he behaves. Like, watching it was like watching a tragedy, okay? Because I was like, sister, you cannot have a better boyfriend, and you are the one who's going to be the cheater. And the fact that she cheats on him like that in front of everyone, After he finally actually opened up to her and learned to share with her and to learn to share his emotions with her, there was this one scene, I could treat this as a spoiler, it doesn't matter, where she thinks that he like goes into the bathroom to like get himself off, and he's actually crying, and he like lets her see him crying and actually wants to be vulnerable with her and to tell her what's bothering him. That I was like, I was so moved by seeing a male character like that, okay? Especially again like a popular jock in a high school series. And him, like the actor, Bo, for Maddie McKim, by the way, he's a fantastic actor. You wouldn't think it when you look at him just having to be pretty and run around and smile, but he's actually a fantastic actor. Like, I love him. Okay, I love him. Is he incredibly pretty? Yes, my god. There was this one bit in, like, I think seasons 2 and 3 where they did something specific with his hair, and I was like, my god, I find you attractive. Like, this is exactly how I felt when I was like 13. Like, I felt 13 again, okay? Something about the hair and the eyes and the way he carries himself. And oh my god, it was kryptonite for me. That aside, again, that aside, the fact that they move him past being just a pretty face into being actually like sweet and emotional and emotionally mature and developing and growing as a person and learning to open up to people and to not just put on this macho persona and to be like the popular jock and to include other people, to not be ashamed, to not consider his reputation like the holy grail. Oh, it was just, it was beautiful to watch. Okay, and then to have this woman like crush him, drag him down into the dirt constantly, and that he apparently isn't allowed to move on from her, and his entire universe revolves around her, even though again she mercilessly cheated on him in front of everyone. And after that, they even made him be so pathetic that he, like, while crying and being upset, actually tells her that he will get past it. She just needs to give him time. At that point, I was crying. I was like, please, please find someone who actually deserves you. Like, I am begging you. I am begging you to find someone who deserves you. Because this heinous cow, this heinous cow does not. Okay. And that was, by the way, one of my nicknames for her. Every time she came on screen, I was like cursing her out because I just could not stand the sight of her anymore. So, watching something I was obsessed with as a teenager, as an adult, is hilarious because I can actually, again, like, analyze them as people and how they were written rather than just watch the whole thing occur with like googly eyes. But I think I've said enough. I am glad they're not together in the end. Thank God for that. Okay, it was insufferable to get through the last season. Like, I barely did it, by the way. And by his last speech was beautiful. But again, everything in the last 2 seasons that was well written and beautiful, I hated because it was directed at her. I was like, this was a beautiful speech, beautiful sentiment, a beautiful thing to say to anyone but her. To anyone but her. And I loved his actually platonic relationship with Sadie and his treatment of other women in general who he didn't necessarily find like romantically attractive. Like, oh my god, I loved him. I feel like for 20 minutes all you're going to get is like my gushing review of Maddie McKibben, and I'm very happy actually that it holds up. Okay, teenage me knew what was up. There was a reason why he was the only thing about this series I remember, and I will leave you with one thing. There's this one specific scene that like always made my heart beat so strongly that when that episode came out, I was like in seventh heaven. Okay, I was calling my friend to tell her to watch it, and that is like the beginning of season 2, when he finds out that she's in love with him, and he like runs out to the parking lot and he stops her like so abruptly and everything and tells her that he loves her with that specific smile of his. Like, that made my heart flutter exactly like I was a teenager again. Okay, that scene is etched into my brain. That was the one scene that I vividly remembered because of how it made me feel. So, oh my god, this was long. I don't think I've talked about anything for as long as I've talked about this, so let's move on. I still can't believe that at least like 20 minutes are just about awkward. Let's hurry it up, okay? Season two of Karen Petey or Cat and Petey. That was bad. That was bad of this series. I loved everything about this. Like it was written again by Val McDermid, who we will come back to. Okay, I love the series. I love this actress. I love anything Scottish. It was just delightful. By the way, it's worth a watch if you waited a while since season one. Do watch it. Then there was the Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, which is like an old film. Like it's a one-time film with very famous actors. Actually, it's ridiculous, but in a very fun way. Okay, like I was skeptical. I was skeptical about this. And again, since I'm willing to at least watch anything with Sherlock Holmes in it, I was like, let's watch this. Like I saw a clip of it, I think randomly, and I was like, let's do it. Because the actor who plays Sherlock Holmes here is the actor who was Maggie Smith's husband in the other film where she's a teacher. I think the film was like something Gene Brody. he's he also acts in that, and he's Maggie Smith's husband at the time. So that's why I found this Sherlock Holmes film. It surprised me. It actually surprised me. It was very fun and surprisingly worth a watch. So I would recommend it if you've never heard of it by chance. Another series that I actually loved, but it was a surprise, is Mad Dogs. Again, I know this entire cast because obviously I do. I think in the UK, if you watched a number of, especially crime series, which is like sort of the bread and butter there, you know every actor ever. You've seen every actor somewhere. So this is basically like a main cast of four guys who just have the absolute worst time. Okay, the absolute worst time. This is technically a drama, technically a crime, and technically also a comedy, but a very dark one. And it's just something that I did not expect to like, because dark comedy is like a very questionable genre because you either despise it or it clicks with you. Like me and my mother watched it. My dad couldn't stand it, so he just didn't watch it. But me and my mother watched it, and it grew on us. Like it really grew on us, and we watched it all the way through. And I would actually say that I loved it. In the end, it's just again hilarious, but sort of to the almost to the point of tears. Like it's just absurdly unfortunate what these poor guys go through, and it's just a miserable time. And also, I will say one thing: like I love all these actors, by the way, but I think it's Philip Lannister is not the one that I expected to be the good guy here, because him and his brother, bless them, they're great actors and I love them. They mostly play bad guys, like cranky bad guys, okay? So the fact that he was actually the most positive character here, the one with the least bad things that he did, the one that's the most, like the best person of the four, that was shocking to me. That was shocking to me. It really was, okay? But I loved them. I loved all of them, and it was a good time. It was just very surprisingly a good time. Two more things that I have to mention. I will mention them like not once, okay? The Institute by Stephen King. Predictable, predictable, and actually sort of underwhelming when you do get to the reveal, but it was surprisingly engaging for a Stephen King. I don't really like Stephen King, so it was definitely a surprise. I mean, I only knew about it because of Ben Barnes, so there's that. And I just wanted to mention it because it's such a weird thing for me to watch. Usually actors will be the ones to get me to watch stuff out of my like comfort and interest zone. So Ben Barnes has the credit for this one. And the other thing is the Marigold Hotel films. It's not a thing for me to watch, like in the slightest. But again, this entire cast, I was like, I want to watch it. And it's cheesy and dramatic in the predictable way that this type of film is. So I can't really fault it for that. But it was, I feel like in the genre of cheesy, predictable dramas like this, the first one was a little bit much in that genre, and the second one actually was just enough in that genre. I liked the second one actually like significantly more than the first one. Plot wise, what's happening wise, like focus wise, I significantly liked the second one more, which is again sort of actually not a popular opinion, but I preferred the second one, and the whole like aesthetic of the Indian wedding with like all the outfits and the dance and the music, I realized that I really, really, really actually like that specific style of like Bollywood music. Specifically like from the film, which I feel like is probably a little bit Americanized, but I really liked the music in the second one, and I really, really liked that last sequence with the dancing. It was just so cool, and my god, do I love how Indian women look for their weddings. Like, it's stunning. Like, the outfits, the details, how the whole thing is done, it's just beautiful. Okay, it's stunning. So I just really, really, really prefer the second one. We made it to the last category. Anime. Anime. Okay, we will go through this quickly because I watch a lot of it, I rewatch a lot of it, and not everything I want to talk about. Okay, we've already had like a fun discussion in the first half of the year. So the first thing that I watched is Secrets of the Silent Witch, or not the first thing. I watched the first thing I want to talk about. I watched this as it was coming out. I'd never heard of it, but in the thread for Witch Hat Atelier, someone said like this anime is coming out. It feels like it has a similar vibe to Witch Hat. And first of all, yeah, I see it. I see it, except it's a school setting, which is not my favorite thing. But it was a surprise. It was a surprise because, yes, the vibes suit me, but I don't really like, particularly, like drama, romance school settings. Like, I don't really love that, but it was done in a way that I liked, and it was not emphasized as much as I might have disliked, I suppose. Okay. I enjoyed the characters. The plot was interesting enough to keep me hooked every week. I loved the magic system and the main character's like place in the magic system and how she uses it in her own unique way. I loved her cat. Okay, there was no reason to make her cat that attractive in human form. There was absolutely no reason for that. Okay, but he was by far the prettiest character, like aesthetics and drawing wise. But I loved her and her cat, and I loved the side characters, sort of, to an extent. I actually don't even like the prince that much. I just don't like the prince character in general as a trope, and I haven't since Maven from Red Queen. It's just not something that appeals to me anymore, that is. But I do really like the other guy, like the guy who's like his second in command, who's also a lord or something, but I quite like him and his dynamic with the main character. It was a delightful time, and it was so beautifully done, genuinely, especially when like the magic was being done. It was a great watch, and I'm happy I watched it as it was coming out, and I cannot wait for season 2. The one that I have to mention very briefly is obviously like Infinity Castle. Like, obviously I went to watch it. Okay, I don't even like Demon Slayer, mind you, but watching it in theaters, like what Ufotable, I still don't know if it's like Ufotable, Ufotable, whatever that studio does with it on the big screen. It's like, I love it. I would pay any amount of money to go watch that in theaters. Okay, and I don't even care about the plot or the characters. It's just a visual marvel. Okay, you get to hear all the voice actors that I actually like love on the big screen and loudly. And there's, again, since I have like such a hearing sensitivity, I suppose, like voices and sound effects are something that I really, really take notice of. The sound effects in anime are just so satisfying. So when you amp them up in theaters, like footsteps or hitting things or sword movements, the sound effects that they put in anime are so satisfying that, like, God, did I have a good time. Okay, that film was probably my favorite, like, viewing experience of the year. Okay, I was thrilled. And the first time I watched it was when the beginning, obviously, of the last season was being played with the ending of the season previous. Like, I knew I was going to be watching these films like on premiere. I would be paying as much money as was needed to get there because I'm paying for the experience, okay, not for the story, because I don't really care for the story, but God, is it worth it for the experience, for me at least, okay? I don't think I would ever actually go to the movie theater without caring about the plot like I would for Demon Slayer, okay? Everyone there was like hyped, everyone there was a fan, people were gasping, people were crying. The poor girl next to me, I think, was like a new fan, like her boyfriend took her along. She was gasping at everything, she was crying at everything, she was having a miserable time. I was loving it. I was giggling during the scenes where, like, I'm not going to spoil that one, yeah. During the sad scenes, I was this close to giggling because my favorite voice actor is in those scenes, and hearing him on the big screen, I was like living my best life while this poor girl was sobbing next to me, and that almost made me laugh even more. But point being, it was so worth the trip to the theaters for this because it's my favorite viewing experience. Okay, watching anime on the big screen of this kind of quality is just, I think, better than anything that exists in live action, at least for me. And the last anime before we go on to a separate category of its own is Twisted Wonderland. Did I know what this was? No, but for years, obviously, on TikTok, I've been seeing like edits to the game. So like I was vaguely aware of it. And as soon as I saw that like an anime was coming out, I was like, sure, sign me up. Like they're going to have Disney's budget and apparently a large fandom, and the characters are something that I'm sort of again like familiar with. Like it's Disney technically. It was, I would say it was great, but again, not necessarily plot wise. The plot was like chaotic, which I understand is to be expected for this series. But it was just such a delight to watch every week. It was, what kind of mess are we in for today? And it was so pretty to look at, and again, the voice actors just went ham. And around this time, the Witch Hat trailer came out with like Natsuki Hana announced as the voice actor for Kifi. So I was like extra interested in watching Twisted Wonderland because he is the main voice actor of Riddle in Twisted Wonderland. So I was like, let me just like enjoy his voice acting and his insane range right now because that's going to be Kifi. So I was like extra motivated to watch it, and it was just a really pretty, really good time. But to be fair, I did not watch this for any of those reasons. I did not watch this for any of those reasons, okay? One of the characters who there is very little of is voiced by my second favorite voice actor, okay? By Umehara, who played Leona Kingscaller. And whatever he is in, I will be watching. I am a simple person, okay? For my top two voice actors, whatever they're in, and I'm mildly interested in it, I will be watching. So there wasn't that much of him, but I'm waiting for season 2. This category is going to be aptly named, okay? Because this this little event kickstarted in me a desire to watch CDs again. I have so many CDs again because for like half of my life, CDs was the only way I could watch anything. I was like a local, like I was a visitor at the local video store, like a frequent visitor. Okay, I knew them personally. They gifted me CDs sometimes, like me and my family. I have so many CDs, but I didn't have a CD player for the longest time because again, they're not in laptops anymore. And the one that I had was like so poor quality that I thought like the CDs were corrupted, not that the player was bad. So I got a good player on Amazon, and like I've been resurrected. I could watch all my CDs again. I forgot how fun it was to watch something uninterrupted by ads or streaming, or it was just such a, I was giddy for the week that I got like the good DVD player. Okay. And all of this was kickstarted by watching a series that I wanted to own on CD because there was no subtitles for it online, and that just snowballed from there because I found so many like people selling used DVDs on Amazon from like antique stores or whatever, used in perfect condition because people just don't watch like that anymore. And I was so giddy, but I am beating around the bush. The point is that this kickstarted my entire obsession, okay? We watched this series, okay? The game with Robson Green and the other guy. That sounds disrespectful. I love the other guy as well, by the way, but Robson Green is like the main person here, okay? We watched him in Grantchester, obviously, me and my mother, when we were watching that a few years ago. And the way he was written, the way his character is done, we were so annoyed. We did not like him. He was unlikable. We didn't like him. And my mother actually couldn't stand the sight of him. Okay, so I couldn't get her to watch the series that I'm about to talk about. So we watched the game because I said like this is a mini series, and he plays the bad guy. So like I was like reassuring her, like he plays the bad guy. It's a short time. You're gonna enjoy it, and we loved it. We loved this series. Okay, like the tension, the build up, the way it's written, the little subtle things are just so satisfying to watch. Like we loved this series to absolute bits. But since I got her to actually be able to look at him again, we watched another series that I actually have a physical copy of now, and that is Wire in the Blood. Again, by Val McDermid, who wrote Cat and Beatty. It's like the complete series box set with like 2 boxes with like 3 seasons. Okay, I got it used from the UK for like ridiculously low, like for very few pounds. Point being, okay, and I felt like I struck gold. I'm holding this up like a book. This is like my prized possession now. Okay, I wanted to watch this originally when we were watching Grandchester, but again, because she couldn't stand the sight of him, we didn't. And now, after watching the game, I convinced her to watch this. And where do I even start? Where do I even start? This is everything exactly for me, okay? Both the character of Tony Hill, who I have not hyperfixated on a character this much since watching the old Sherlock Holmes with Jeremy Brett last year. Okay, I have not hyperfixated on a character that's this much since then. Like slow sigh of contentment, okay? And the series itself is fascinating. It's bordering on educational because of how interesting and well developed the clinical psychology aspect is. Okay, the whole quirk of this series, which is why we watched it, is that like the psychologist who helps police solve crimes is a little bit unusual because he actually like gets into the minds of killers. He's like a little bit strange, a bit of an eccentric, which you immediately could have known that the character would be one of my favorites of all time. Like you could have known. Okay. I gather fictional eccentrics who care too much but are too good at their job, like Infinity Stones. Point being, okay, this series is prime suspect, and by that I mean like almost documentary like, and bleak and dark and really actually real with what it's talking about, not sugarcoating a thing, while focusing more on the psychological aspect rather than the crime aspect. And again, it has like one of my favorite new characters of all time, okay? I grew so attached to this character that when we got to season 5, there's 6 seasons, I was like depressed in advance that we were finishing this, okay? We had, mind you, like 8 episodes left, 8 1 hour and a half long episodes left, and I was already depressed about finishing it. So like keep that in mind, okay? Is the entire thing good? No. No, like there are 2 episodes that I don't think I will ever rewatch again, and there are some that I wouldn't happily rewatch again. But particularly the second half, like seasons 5 and 6, some of season 4 and season 3, I would watch again like countless times. Which again is sort of strange because yes, it is bleak. It is incredibly bleak and heavy and depressing and just not something that you want to ingest if you're in a bad mood. But how could I be in a bad mood when I love the character so much? This is what I mean, okay? When I have a genuine hyperfixation on a character, I don't care about anything else. Nothing can actually be a problem once that happens. So that is why I said we need to talk about Robson Green specifically, not just the other series in particular, because he's the star here. He's what actually got me to finally watch this. So, and again, his subtle acting. I watched like the extra features on this, like the interviews with him and with Val McDermid. His subtle, like little mannerisms and things that he put into the characterization of Tony Hill are just so good that I forgot he's an actor. Like, I kept watching Grantchester after this because I just couldn't get enough of him. And I straight up forgot he's an actor because I was like treating Tony Hill like he was this real person. So thank you for restarting my love of CDs. And now I have the entire series and I will be watching it again. And I would so highly recommend it because looking at the list, and if you were to ask me, this is my favorite thing that I watched this year, like easily, okay, by a long shot. I couldn't stop thinking about it when I was watching it. I had dreams about it, okay? I still think about it, even though it's been like a month since I watched it. So, unparalleled. It is the favorite thing that I watched this year. So I needed to like leave it for last, my beautiful box set of the entire series. And I could not recommend it more highly, obviously, if you have the capacity to watch something this bleak. That is it for the video. It's probably like an hour and a half long, which is fine. It's fine. Editing me will be absolutely cussing me out, but that's okay. I will see you in the next video, whatever that is. I want it to be thorough because, God, there was a lot of stuff that I needed to talk about. But what are your thoughts on any and all of this? And what were your favorite and least favorite things that you watched in the second half of the year or even in the entire year? It doesn't matter. My God, I've been talking for a long time. Like, my throat hurts at this point. But if we've gathered anything, it's that I actually love talking about all the media that I consume, not just books. So maybe if I did these videos like more frequently, I would have more to talk about. But then again, if I did them more frequently, I would probably find it less fun to do. So I truly am sorry for like the long talk about awkward, but you can just skip it. That's what timestamps are for. So I will see you in the next video.